106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas. It's dark. We're wearing sunglasses. And we have this latest episode of the Retro Rewind podcast.
Hit it.
Retro Systems Online. Reflux capacitor fluxing. Scanning movie space-time for The Blues Brothers, 1980. Rewinding in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, Rewinders and new listeners, to the Retro Rewind podcast, where we take a fresh look at movies and games from 15 or more years ago. I'm your captain of the pod, Francisco Ruiz, and I'm joined by your XO and mine, Paul, the PaulJPowers.com Blues Brothers Powers.
Bring me 4 fried chickens and a Coke. So, and if you know John Belushi, you know what kind of Coke he's talking about. Hey, this is an 80s movies. Where's Patch?
Legs or thighs, Paul?
The whole thing. Oh, sorry. The Coke is what's most important in that.
Wow. Also,
so you like fried livers.
Also, for this discussion of the film, The Blues Brothers, we welcome back aboard Chief Historian David Bobo Bobke. Hey, Bobo.
And some dry white toast.
Yeah.
What, you want any jam on that? Butter?
No, sir. Dry.
Okay. In addition, we are glad to have back aboard Archives Officer and XO in waiting, apparently, Drew Dodgen. Hey, Drew.
Would you believe I actually like both kinds of music, country and Western?
Wow. That's amazing.
Someone from Texas? Yeah.
And now they have a quick flyby of who we are. Paul, can you give us a quick overview of the production specs for The Blues Brothers?
Sure thing. All right, the Blues Brothers animated series.
Oh my gosh, stop right there.
Actually, what?
Stop.
What?
The Blues Brothers movie, not animated series.
That makes so much more sense because the animated series was never released. Anyway, so.
Then how do you have notes on it?
Well, there's behind the scenes stuff. I was wondering how we were going to review it, but okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Okay.
The movie, right?
Yes, the movie.
Okay. All right, Napoleon Dynamite.
What the junk?
I rewound back to the previous episode, actually to the end, because I just wanted to ask Bobo, you rated Napoleon nostalgic, but yet you also said you would have rated Electric Dreams a classic. Are you saying that Electric Dreams is better movie than Napoleon Dynamite?
Yeah, I suppose I am.
Oh, wow. Okay, sorry. Oh, well, let's go on to the next episode. I'm taking you guys with us. All right, The Blues Brothers was released June 20th, 1980.
Whoa. Hold on. I'm sorry.
I was half expecting you to do Blues Brothers 2000.
Me too. You're like totally throwing me, Paul.
Yeah, Paul.
Wait, I watched the wrong movie again?
No, you watched the right one. I was just
Blues Brothers 2000 was...
Paul, no, you got right with Blues Brothers.
What?
I was just confused because I was expecting you to do Blues Brothers 2000. Please go back, June 20th, 1980.
This is what I get for having a time machine. The Blues Brothers, 1981?
Yes.
Okay. Was released June 20th, 1980. The theatrical version runs 2 hours and 13 minutes. And it's rated R. It's directed by John Landis. And it was written by Dan Aykroyd and edited by John Landis. It was with lead stars being John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, Cab Calloway, Princess Leia. And the music was composed by Ira Newborn.
So,
you ready for
not really composed. There's lots of different things.
The music was done by Ira Newborn.
Yes,
the score was done by Ira Newborn.
Well, even that's not super clear, but
we're going to blame the music, at least part of it, on Ira Newborn.
Okay, that works.
All right, you ready for the box office trivia?
I am ready. Bobo and Drew, are you guys ready?
Go ahead.
I'm ready to create chaos, and this is the first one.
As I've come to expect.
Actually, I should have said, hit it.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone in chat, you're free to join in as well. Go for it, Paul.
All right. The Blues Brothers was made for about $27 million and earned over $57 million at the box office.
Decent.
So given this fact, how high in the box office do you think it ranks among the movies released theatrically in 1980? To help you out, we'll go with the top 50.
Top 50. All right. Let's start with Baba. What's your guess?
Oh, crud. Had to start with me. Okay. I'm going to say it's higher than 42. So let's go with number 8.
Number 8. Drew, what's your guess?
I'm going to go with 10.
10. Let's see. In chat, D. Tungsten guesses 32. Interesting. Yeah. Who Will Save Generation X podcast says this ain't no Hank Williams Jr. song. That's true. It's true, but that's not
Or
a
Hank Williams song.
Or Hank Williams, yes. Star Fox guesses 25. I'm going to guess, let's see. Don't know why I guess that. That's fair, D. Tungsten. I'm going to guess 81.
It's top 50.
Yeah, 81 is my guess.
Oh, okay.
Wow, somebody
You're gonna play with
score.
Imaginary numbers like Ashley did the last time. Okay.
Negative 1,000. Here we go.
Yeah.
Negative 11 billion.
So according to the-numbers.com, Drew wins with an exact number 10.
Whoa. Oh, really?
Cha-ching!
Good job, Drew. Well done. Well done. Though, Baba, you were close too with 8. So,
Yeah.
I mean, not as close as me with my guess, but I mean, we can't all be perfect. So, all right. Well, thank you for those factoids, Paul. And let's see if any of them factor into our memory mind melt or subsequent roundtable discussion, which we will get into once Alice has located our target film.
Alert. Alert. Target located. Spoilers incoming. Establishing analysis vector.
John Belushi, Jake Blues.
Walk through a party in the county jail.
Dan Aykroyd, Elwood Blues, the Blues Brothers.
They smell bad.
You are such a disappointing pair.
You contemptible pig.
You better pray the police get to him before we do.
Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi, the Blues Brothers, a musical comedy, rated R.
Yeah, they're playing at selected theaters near you. Check newspapers for listings is what that ad was about to say before I abruptly cut it off. My bad.
I was wondering what a newspay was.
It's this thing you used to get your news on. It is actual paper. It's crazy. You remember those things? Well, I don't know whether you do or not, but you might have some memories of this movie. In fact, we fused our memories together in our memory and mind melt synopsis of the Blues Brothers, which goes something like this. 2 men in black decide to leave the aliens behind when they realize that their childhood stomping grounds are about to be sold to their evil board of education. The Ghostbuster and the toga-wearing frat boy have a few days to get the band together and raise enough money to save the home before it probably ends up getting sold to the board of education anyway. And let's ignore that. Oh, but let's ignore that. Plus, the movie forgets that it's not a commercial by Chicago's Board of Tourism. Okay. So Joliet, Jake, and Elwood Blues tell people they are on a mission from God. But Princess Leia tries to stop them with a bazooka. Luckily, they're aided by the power of R&B music. Ride! The Blues Brothers managed to preserve the home of their youth at the expense of half of the city of Chicago. Well, you know what? That's, I guess some of that was in the movie, but I think some of it was deceptive. There's no Princess Leia, and this is Carrie Fisher. Gosh.
And here I thought you were going to take umbrage with the Chicago's Board of Tourism.
Well, you thought wrong, Drew. But based on those memories, as flawed as they were, what rating did they lead you to predict for this film before you rewatched it? Classic, nostalgic, or tragic? Let's begin. I'm going to change things up and begin with Paul this time. What was your guess? What was your prediction, Paul?
So I have never seen this movie before.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Okay.
And whenever Dan Aykroyd and one of the Belushi brothers was doing this role on TV, I just had no interest. I'd give it like maybe a few seconds more to try to give them some like, all right, people like it, what's going on, but it's not for me. And so I don't know why we're reviewing this movie. I predicted tragic.
Tragic. Okay.
Why are we reviewing this?
This is Bobo's pick.
Oh,
because
his patron pick? Because he's a patron?
Yes, his Reflex Capacitor pick, yes.
So glad to have you on, Bobo. I really,
and thank you for picking this movie for us.
I really appreciate your humor, and I'm sorry for the next episode.
Wow. Bobo, speaking of you, what was your prediction? You picked it, I assume classic, but maybe it was something different.
I'm going to assume classic too. I didn't write it down, but
okay.
Yeah, let's go. We'll just go with that.
All right. Sean also predicted classic, apparently. Yes, Yoda is in it too. Frank Oz, I saw that. Drew, what was your prediction for this film?
So every other time I've watched this film, it's been the edited for television version.
Okay.
So this is the first time for me seeing it uncut. I will say with that in mind, I predicted nostalgic because it has been even a hot minute since I've even seen the edited version.
Okay. For me, the last time I saw this movie was back in high school. So that is, like 5 years ago because I'm such a young, strapping young buck.
5 times
wife
3.
will tell me.
How long were you in high school?
I didn't know they'd hold a person back that long.
Well played, apologyfires.com. Well played. No, so this was actually closer to like 30 years, not quite 30 years ago, but we're getting there. That I saw this movie, and that's the only time I ever saw it. I didn't really have an interest to see it again, but I remember being horrible, just that it was like, okay. So I predicted tragic.
Oh, not even the benefit of the doubt. It looks okay. Tragic.
Well, I had no interest to really watch this again ever since then. It did not leave an impression on me. So, but it'll be interesting to see if those predictions come true. But first, before we get to our final ratings, we have to go into the things we liked and didn't like about this film. And let's start with our likes of The Blues Brothers. I'll start us off.
Best bits.
And let's begin with the man, the myth, the legend, the harbinger of podcasting chaos who picked this movie for us, Bobo. What was the one thing you liked about The Blues Brothers, in this watch at least?
Thank you very much for that. That's appreciated. I'll try to go easy on you this week. No, I'm not. The first thing is one scene that in particular that I have always loved, especially when I was younger, is the mall scene. When they're first trying to get away from the police, and Joliet Jake looks over at his brother and says, "You got us into this mess, pal. Now you get us out." Elwood calmly says, "You want out? Okay." And they drive through. Yeah, they drive through the mall for the next several minutes and manage to evade the police, and chaos ensues, and it's beautiful. What can I say?
That's incredible because that's my first like as well.
Oh my gosh, guys, that's my first like too.
Seeing the inside of the mall just took me back, back into the day.
That was cool. Yeah,
it was fun to see all that. I mean, the chaos was fine, but I remember when stores looked like that.
I thought it was cool how they managed.
I remember Toys R Us
to swerve through, and I thought it was fun, even though it was overly silly. Seeing those two cops upside down spinning around and stuff, I thought that was fun. And it was enjoyable. So, that was mine too. Did you have anything else to add, Paul?
Oh, it was just a fun flashback to the 80s. I guess it was 79, but close enough.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, three of us in one fell swoop. Baba, did you have anything else to add about that scene that you enjoyed?
Just that somebody mentioned, yes, do you have Miss Piggy? And
why was it Grover? Or a Cookie Monster?
It was I think it was Grover.
He was holding Grover.
Okay.
Yeah, but that might have been the easiest Muppet they could get a hold of at the time.
Which I thought was a wasted opportunity to not have Frank Oz be that person to ask.
That would have been perfect.
Voice of both.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Might not have been available that day.
Sorry, I have a new tragic maker I have to write down real quick. No, that's a very valid point, Paul. Man, that would have been great. Okay. Drew, what's something you liked about this film?
I am expanding on yours.
Oh, okay.
On y'all's.
Even better.
Because as much as I love the mall chase, I like both of the big car chases in this film.
Okay.
And I kind of like the second one better as they're trying to get back to I can't think of the name of that court, the county.
Yeah, not
office.
commissioner's office.
I can't remember what the honorable what's it.
Yeah,
was.
exactly.
But because I'm not a Chicagoan, I kept wanting to say Dealey Plaza, but that's not that one.
It's the one with Picasso.
Yeah, it's the one with the Picasso. But I enjoyed that one more because I don't know. It just seemed the chaoticness of both of that one, plus with, of course, the original one, the one in the mall. I loved both of those, and it's amazing how well both of these car chases are shot for a comedy film.
Sure.
Because normally you don't see a lot of car chases in comedy films.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Not to this degree.
No. Yeah. D. Tungsten does clarify that's the Dealey Plaza with Picasso. Okay, so you had it right, Drew.
No, I was saying Dealey Plaza. That's where JFK got shot.
Okay,
in
fine.
Dallas.
Dally, Daily, Dilly, whatever it is. Daley.
Yeah,
okay.
that's the former governor.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm
mayor.
not from
Sorry,
Illinois.
mayor.
Let's go back to Bobo, who's probably the closest of us to Illinois. Was your next like from the Blues Brothers?
The second like is the use of the cameos and stars that they got in this thing.
Oh my gosh, mine not also too. Continue.
Well,
yeah, they of course have Cab Calloway and James Brown and so on and so forth in this, and they put them in.
Calloway?
I
don't know.
I thought roles. Cab Calloway was. Now I'm blanking.
He's the
on his
old
name.
guy throughout the movie.
Yeah, the old guy who helps them. He sings Minnie the Moocher.
Yeah, but why is he a name? What else is he in? Is what I mean. I don't know.
He's in a very old Betty Boop cartoon, or at least his dancing is.
Famous singer.
Oh, he's a
writer,
famous singer. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why I went. Okay. Thank you.
That's why he sings.
Yes.
That's the thing he does.
And it turns into a big band thing there for 5 seconds.
Don't get me. We're getting ahead of ourselves when you go there, Drew. But okay. Continue either Bobo or Paul, whichever of you want to sound like you're.
I was about to go.
Paul.
That actually lead in my next but I'll let Bobo finish.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say the use of cameos and various stars they have in the movie. I thought they were used very well.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes you get somebody in like a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and they're just not that interesting, or they seem kind of awkward. Sorry, Kareem, but
are you?
But I thought everybody
did a good job in Airplane.
He was good in Airplane. He got progressively worse as an actor somehow.
Like Lindsay Lohan.
Wow. Shots fired.
Wow.
But anyway, like James Brown, I thought was great in his role as the Reverend Cleophas, and Calloway's great. Aretha Franklin's great. Everybody got used very well.
Ray Charles.
And Carrie Fisher does great, and is just looking at the Blues Brothers as they're laying there in the mud, and just looking just enough psychotic to make that role work, I think. So yeah, I really like how they used everybody, even the backup musicians, who I don't think are necessarily great actors. They're still at least passable. There's a couple of flat lines.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. No, that's fair.
I thought they were evenly well paced too. It really.
Oh, spaced? You mean like
in the movie? Yeah.
Yeah.
It really, for such a long, boring movie, it helped move along. But and Carrie Fisher, when she pulled out the bazooka, I think that's the one part in the movie I laughed out loud because I was not expecting.
Yeah. No, that's fun. So the cameos in that regard, some of them made your second like, Paul. Is that accurate?
Oh, they made my like list, but not my top three.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, what's your next one?
But my second one was the cab. My second is my favorite one. My second favorite scene in the whole film was the Cab Calloway song towards the end when he's singing Minnie the Moocher. I just thought it was really well done. Now, Francisco, you don't know, but he wrote that song like 50 years before this movie.
That's
was made.
great, Paul. How is it that they're in big band attire all of a sudden and they go back to not?
Right.
I will answer this in a minute, Francis.
And Francisco, I agree with you. I think they should have had I think it looked great with the big band outfits and everything. They should have just kept it because I thought it worked wonderfully.
Sure.
I just thought that whole scene and I thought it was a fun song to watch. And
yeah. I had no issue with the song itself. I thought he sang great. It was
that's
just
what I liked.
It's just the sudden inexplicable change in setting and then back. For somehow.
Yeah. Well, I'll let Drew answer.
Okay. Yeah. Drew, did you want to answer now to that?
I can kind of answer because this actually goes into one of my likes.
Okay. Perfect. Okay.
So I like that this is basically a Muppet movie without Muppets.
Okay. You're not selling me
Actually,
on this.
there's Grover in it.
and Miss Piggy and Yoda too, for being honest. But no, what I mean is this is basically set up like a Muppet movie. You've got it's a musical. The plot is a very basic plot that they do some very ridiculous things with.
Yep.
And you got cameos coming out your ears.
You know what? Should be a dislike that it's not a Muppet movie because this is so well set up for one. You're right.
And the thing is, all the issues you have, like with the Big Bang thing, that would happen in a Muppet movie, and we wouldn't care about it.
Oh, I would care.
Not as
he would
much.
care. Yeah.
I wouldn't care. And that's kind of why I don't care about it here, because it's just like, oh, this is just a fun thing that's happening. So we're just going to roll with it because it does not really that big a deal.
I think they were trying.
It makes about as much sense as Jake and Elwood dancing with Aretha Franklin during Respect.
I mean, it wasn't
more
respect; it was freedom. Respect is RESPT, or I'm not spelling
in
it
my
right.
mind, it was.
Instead, it was freedom.
I had my
freedom,
songs backwards.
freedom.
My bad.
That's okay.
My apologies.
I mean, that's totally fine.
Think about
at least I recognize.
Oh, it's called
Aretha
Think.
Franklin.
Sorry, yeah.
Think.
Okay, yes, it is called Think. My bad.
But either way, yeah, I get his song wrong. Shoot me.
Boom.
H-I-N-K. What do you think? No, it's like that.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, let's go to.
But yeah, that's all. That's all I'll say is I like the fact that this is structured like a Muppet movie.
Okay,
It would have been better if it were a Muppet movie.
Sure.
I would say it might even have been better if this was a fully animated film, because I think that would have allowed some of the more esoteric ridiculousness to be better accepted.
Yeah.
But, I'll go with what it is because I enjoyed it.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair. One other thing I enjoyed before we get to our classic makers is I was actually really impressed with. Unless you guys correct me if I'm wrong, and I could very well easily be wrong
if we
about
don't,
this.
the chat will.
But I thought Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi, I really appreciated their singing voices. I thought they really brought it with their. I didn't know they could sing, especially Dan Aykroyd singing that low with Rawhide. I was like, wow, this is really cool. So
yeah,
I really like their singing voices in this.
No correction needed. You're right.
Yes,
it is actually them.
I win.
You said something popular. Good job.
You said something that people agree with? Whoa.
What is
going
this?
on with the
What
show?
universe did we stumble into?
Roy's losing his mind. Better go get the therapist.
My name ain't Roy.
Oh, you do have it on hand.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, let's get to our classic makers for the Blues Brothers. Let's start with the one who wanted us to review this movie. What's the most loved thing about the Blues Brothers for you, Bobo?
Might be all four of us agreeing again. I won't be surprised if it is, but it's the music overall. Mm-hmm. If you're going to do a movie like this, the music's got to be on, and I think it's on the whole way through. If you don't like this type of music, then that's not the kind of music that you like.
I like this type of music, but that's not my classic maker, and I have other issues. But I'm glad that you. That's awesome that you really love this, and that was really endearing for you, Bobo.
I like the music in this.
There you go.
It's also my classic maker.
Okay,
cool. Okay, well,
good job, Drew. You're correct.
Did you have a favorite song of all the songs? Yeah, for both of you. I'm curious.
Yeah, I don't know that I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I liked Minnie. I already said Minnie the Moocher, and the Chicagoland one was good too.
Minnie the Moocher's good. I have to go with Rawhide. I'm sorry.
Rawhide, yeah.
Rawhide. Because here's the thing.
The Texan chooses Rawhide. I'm not surprised.
This version of this song, I first heard many years ago in another movie that's probably going to come up. Bible Goes West. It's sung by John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd.
Wait, they used their.
It is even credited in the credits for Bible Goes West.
Oh wow! I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. Okay.
Yeah, as the performers. So that song, I enjoyed that version of it from that movie. Mm-hmm. So getting it, I look forward to it every time I watch this film. And in my mind, it was the only song they performed at the Country Bunker, but I was wrong there too, in my memories. But Rawhide. The TV show's weird. The TV show is good too, by the way.
Yes, but this is like the blues, like rhythm and blues, and they throw in like Rawhide, and it's like I would not be surprised if they threw in other silly songs like just because.
Oh my gosh! I am impressed at how you keep fitting that in somehow, Paul.
That song would have performed great right after Stand By Your Man.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's true.
Wow. Okay. So that's Drew and Bobo's Classic Maker. Paul, what was your Classic Maker?
When I think of this movie, the thing that stands out to me the most, what I'll probably remember it for, is basically what Drew said before, is that last chase scene. Where it starts with the police, and there's like a lot of police.
How it goes on and on,
yes, and it
on,
just keeps building. And then there's like police with horseback, and then there's like the army and the National Guard, and then there's tanks and helicopters, and it keeps going. And that is like huge. Like I don't think you can make that today, the way they did it. It was
I'm sure you can make it with CG just fine.
No, I was about to say minus CG.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm pretty certain the Illinois Nazis couldn't have been in that movie today either.
Yeah.
Probably not.
But it's well done for what it. I mean, the high chase, like they're going over 100 miles an hour because I saw the making of it, and it looks like you could tell like they're going fast.
Oh, totally. Yes.
That was super impressive. Like it was so well done. I think it's the best. It to me is the best part of the whole movie.
Okay. Wow. I'll just say a couple in chat. It sounds like Who Will Save Generation X agrees with you. Best car chase scene of the 80s.
Yeah.
Yes, they know Hank Williams song. Sean says his Classic Maker is that they have Cab Calloway. I'm not sure what you're saying.
Tungsten says that the Illinois Nazis is based on a real event.
Oh, really? Okay, wow. I didn't know that. Craziness.
I think the line is, I hate the Illinois Nazis.
Yeah. Which I know people put that in like the Facebook memories and stuff, and you guys have quoted it. I don't remember where that's said. Is that right before they cross the bridge?
It's right before they cross the bridge and force the Illinois Nazis to jump in the river.
Okay. That's the only place where I logically placed it, but because I didn't remember it.
All right. Falling asleep.
I didn't fall asleep at all.
He was watching on 2x.
I was not watching on 2x speed. I did not fall asleep.
Such a subtle line.
That's why Rawhide sounded like chipmunks.
Oh my gosh.
That's why it sounded like he was in 5. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so you guys, Drew and Bobo, you said the songs were your Classic Maker. My Classic Maker is only very loosely tangentially related to that. I thought, and it didn't make me guffaw or anything, but I thought it was so like clever and fun and I wasn't expecting it at all. But when they're in the sauna talking with the guy that's gonna play a promoter, the promoter guy.
Line.
Sure, yeah, it's talking to him, and then. They finish talking and say, okay, guys, let's go. And it has a wide shot and the whole band has been there the whole time. I thought that was just really clever and I really enjoyed that moment.
It's a sight gag.
Yeah. And so
it's a well done gag.
I really, really like that. So that is my Classic Maker for the film. So with that,
there's nothing else that we like.
Who will say, yeah, that's it.
We're all done.
Gen X says, sure, but best car chase scene that involves blues singers who were also in the original cast of SNL is clearly the Blues Brothers. Fight me. Sure, I'll give you that, I guess.
He's talking to D. Tungsten, who was arguing that the best chase scene was for the 80s was Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
So if you want to join the fight, Francisco, go be my guest.
Remember when Darth Vader got in that Cadillac?
If we're going with best car chase scene, it's that DeLorean going around the Twin Pines Mile trying to get away from the Libyans. That's the best one right there. Dun, dun, dun.
Let's see if these Bojos can do 90.
Exactly. Okay, anyway.
Taking out the Twin Pine.
Well, yes, that's part of the fun. But it's just a bad dream. All a bad dream. But what's not a bad dream is, well, I mean, you could think of it as a bad dream, the things we don't like about I was going to say the things we don't like about the Blues Brothers, but sorry guys, there's one more thing I forgot I liked. I know, I forget this all the time, but I wanted to say it would be the Rushmore Show. The Rushmore Show is the place for ranking the ultimate top 4 in sports, video games, nostalgia, Blues Brothers, movies, and so much more. Each week, Andy and Kirk spark engaging discussions and friendly debates, making the Rushmore Show your compass in the realm of pop culture rankings. Find them at youtube.com/The Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top 4 and
nothing
more. That's right. You guys got it.
Yeah, that's great. What does that have to do with the Blues Brothers?
You know,
because these car chases are in our Rushmore of best car chases from the 80s.
Sure, but I was desperate, Paul, to actually find like people on the crew named Andy and Kirk, so I could say, oh, well, Andy and Kirk worked on this movie. Not the Andy and Kirk from Rushmore, but they did. But there's only an Andy, there wasn't a Kirk, so I did not luck out.
So Andy worked on the show.
Yeah, exactly. That's the tie-in.
Andy, you goonie.
All right, but there wasn't really anything. It's not related to this movie at all, Paul. Sorry. How about some trivia, though? That's related to the Blues Brothers.
About Goonies?
About the Blues Brothers, Paul.
Oh, okay. Fine. Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Did you all realize a world record 103 cars were wrecked during filming? And that was in 1980 or 1979, whenever they actually filmed it.
79.
Over 2 decades later, The Matrix Reloaded would set the new record with over 300 cars wrecked during filming. So the moral of the story is maybe don't wear sunglasses all the time and you won't have so many car wrecks.
But isn't though, because the agents were wearing sunglasses and the Blues Brothers were wearing sunglasses.
Well, also the what do you call them? The Resistance? I don't know. Like Trinity, Neo, they all wore sunglasses too.
That's true too. Yeah.
But with that in mind, my trivia for you guys is, what is your favorite destructive element in movies? It could be Blues Brothers. It could be any movie. Let's start with, I'm going to start with Drew this time.
I like explosions.
Explosions. Okay.
I'm a little bit of a 5-year-old pyromaniac. I blame my time in the Boy Scouts of America.
So do you prefer bombs or volcano?
To quote Adam Savage, Jamie Heineman, when in doubt, C4.
Okay. That works.
That works in chess, too.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Also, Mythbusters pretty much stated a lot of my love of explosions. Definitely go look up the cement truck.
Okay.
If you've not seen that one.
Okay, cool. I don't know if I have. Let's go to Bappo next. What's your favorite on-screen destructive element?
I love the primary weapon from Independence Day, which of course we talked about recently. That's a pretty cool looking weapon, and I like blue. But there's a nice Star Wars connection here with Carrie Fisher, that Death Star. I mean, how cool would it be to be able to possess a weapon of that kind of power?
Talk about mass destruction.
Yeah, if I can't have something that powerful, though, just Ivan Drago's punch power in Rocky IV, because that dude looked like he hit like a beast. I mean, just having the ability to knock someone's head off or help them to understand what it's like to have the tip of your nose touching the back of your skull.
I'd prefer not to find out.
Me too.
Sounds like it would itch.
Just a bit, yes.
Yeah.
Oh
So,
my
yeah.
goodness. Okay. How about you, Paul?
So my favorite destructive element in movies would probably be Godzilla.
Oh, okay.
I know he's not. Well, sure, he's an element. There's wind, fire, or Godzilla.
Yeah. Okay.
He's an element. Sure. All right, great trivia, Francisco.
Thank you, Paul.
And now that we've all had some trivial fun, let's find out what memories you, our rad rewinders, had about the Blues Brothers.
All right. Celeste Moore says they were on a mission from God.
We're on a mission from God.
Thank you, Paul. Yes.
Kevin Joshua Burnham says, one of my favorite films. It had great lines. Fantastic soundtrack from R&B legends as Ray Charles, John Lee Hooker, and Aretha Franklin. Very nice cameos from a wide range and memorable lines. An entertaining and funny movie. Quote, I hate Illinois Nazis. End quote.
The Cellcast podcast says, I remember that Carrie Fisher is a very determined woman in this. Also, the recordings of the Rawhide theme song in this would be reused in Five Goes West. I don't know why you're telling us here if you're telling us live, Drew.
Because I didn't realize I was going to be on the show when I wrote that memory.
Look not at the man behind the curtain.
It's a fun trivial fact.
The fact that I used the Cellcast account to do that instead of my own tells you where my mind was.
Oh, it was Jacob. I'm sure Jacob said that. Yeah, Jacob.
I have no idea if Jacob's even seen this.
I'm sure he has, and he's commenting. Jacob, we don't need you to comment. We got Drew here to.
Thank you. David Gardner says a movie that was way too much fun with too much useless language.
And finally, Jeff Ames says, playing Rawhide in the bar and the crowd going nuts. They still had balls thrown at them. Ha ha. Well, you know what? Let's see what balls we would throw at this movie as we get into our dislike section. Alice?
Worst woos.
Worst woos. And let's kick things off with... Yes, fine. With Drew, what's one thing you disliked about the Blues Brothers?
There are many scenes in here that go on too long for what this is. Even with the fact that I did not watch. Even with the fact that I didn't watch the extended cut. I can't believe there's an extended cut of this film.
13 extra.
Yeah, I have no idea what they could possibly be because there's so much long that they could have cut, and this would have been a good hour and 45-minute film that would have been a lot tighter. And honestly, I think in some cases would be a lot funnier because some of these jokes they draw out for so long, I forgot it was a joke.
Right.
Do you have any examples that I can add to maybe a list I might start at some point?
I can. That goes into my first dislike.
Oh, okay. Go for it, Paul.
If basically it was hard for me to tell. Now, this is my first time seeing it.
Yeah.
And it's an older movie. It's hard for me to tell what type of movie this is, especially at the beginning.
Yeah.
Now, by the time you get to the end, you know, with the car that's falling for miles down as the Bluesmobile, right before that, the Bluesmobile does a backwards flip over it and goes the other direction. You can kind of tell this is way over the top and not to be taken seriously. But at the beginning, when the Bluesmobile jumps over the bridge that goes up to let the boat underneath it,
the drawbridge,
sure. I've seen other movies or similar things like it where that kind of jump is meant to be taken seriously, and it's just it's not. It doesn't look like that car wouldn't make that jump. Like and so I'm towards the beginning, I'm already like kind of put off of like what is going on here. This doesn't make sense. Had I had known this was an over-the-top comedy towards the beginning, I could frame myself in that and it would be better to enjoy it this first time going through. Rather than, this is an unbelievable thing. What am I watching?
Fair.
Yeah, I can actually tell you I was starting off watching the extended version of this because I've watched that part before, and I was going to make my first dislike the disc because an hour 39 minutes in, the stupid thing stopped playing.
Oh,
what?
no.
So
Oh my gosh.
I had to resort to the regular movie after that. But I can tell you the scenes were longer, and I don't want to use the drop, Paul, but yeah, some of the scenes were a little bit
slow and boring.
That's the one. Yeah. The opening segment where Jake first gets out of jail, I think from the beginning of the movie to that point was like 7.5 minutes.
It is a long.
It is 7.5 minutes.
Yeah, it's too long. There's other scenes where like Elwood is quitting his job, but we do see that's where he gets the glue from that he uses on the Good Old Boys truck later on.
Sure.
So, but again, it's not really necessary, but I think it's one of those things where Dan Aykroyd likes to put those things in so you know where the glue came from, but it's not really necessary, which is why it's a good idea for Dan to have a filter on movies.
Right.
Love you, Dan.
Although I do want to read his original original quote unquote screenplay for Ghostbusters. One where the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man happens in the middle of the movie, and it's just that's just like an ordinary thing that happens.
Oh wow!
I'll read that version.
Interesting.
That'd be interesting.
All right. So that is, let's see. That's Bob.
That was Drew's, I think.
That is Drew's. Yeah. So okay. Let's go.
I thought that was Paul's.
That was mine and Drew's.
Yeah. You guys went off one another. So
and then Bobo's. I thought that was your dislike of the disc not working, and then the intro being too slow. No?
Well, the DVD was going to be my my initial one, but I decided to forego that one.
All right. What is your actual one, Bobo?
My actual one was I've never been clear on how quote unquote Mystery Woman seems to always know that Jake and Elwood aren't dead.
And where they are.
And where they are.
At all times.
Over and over and over again. Again, as to kind of go to Drew's point earlier, it is kind of like a cartoon where...
Sure.
Guys,
she just knows somehow.
It's super
and that
obvious.
Would be fine if it were animated.
This is ridiculously obvious, guys. She uses the Force.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
God.
She didn't have the Force till the movies we don't talk about.
What?
Yes.
She had Force. She says in Return of the Jedi, I feel like I always knew. I don't care. It's still, she's Force sensitive because she's Carrie Fisher.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll allow it.
So yeah, just never be sure exactly how she keeps finding them. How she keeps just everything.
Yeah, I totally get.
As my co-host would say, plot convenience.
Yeah, it's still kind of fun.
There's no plot to her being there.
Well, it's just a running,
gag.
Not quite gag.
Yeah.
It's a gag convenience.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like, here's the thing. I do like how it is, and this sort of alludes a bit to my spiritual speculation, but I do like how it sort of buffets or showcases that they're almost indestructible while they're on this mission from God. It is like God has touched them that they can't be killed. They can't be dissuaded from their mission. So I do like that plays on that element that she does keep trying to kill them. And that it doesn't happen. I do wish there was some sort of logic to, like, you're right, that she keeps finding them. I don't know how that happens. It goes
to the logic of, like, the car falling for a mile or the other car flipping over backwards.
It's cartoon logic.
Yeah, it's cartoon logic.
Yeah, I guess.
But there was something where maybe she put a tracking device on their car, maybe.
Yeah.
I think the car keeps moving. She knows somebody's driving.
I think that'd be perfect, yes.
Yeah.
If only she pulled one of those weapons out of hammer space, it would prove that this is a cartoon.
Hammer time.
Hammer space?
It's a term that refers when people can pull stuff out of thin air.
Oh,
you know, like the black circle,
like how
Bugs Bunny can pull things out,
or like how anime girls pull out hammers from nowhere when guys are being perverted.
Yes.
It's where Optimus Prime's trailer goes whenever he
yes,
exactly.
Yeah,
transforms. Yeah.
All right. Okay, then I'll go to my first dislike, and that's okay, actually, I just sort of answered. I didn't realize I wrote this down, but I sort of answered my own question.
There you go.
Fantastic.
Next.
That bumps it up a grade then at the end.
Oh my gosh. Mine was going to be like, how does she miss with 4 bazooka chances? And then she misses so much, but then, I sort of answered my own question there. So, My first dislike dismissed. But let's go on then. Let's go back to Paul. What's something else you disliked?
Okay. I said earlier that when watching these guys on TV or whatever, I really had no interest. And throughout the movie, it was hard for me to get interest. It's just not, I just didn't have interest. And I'm not a music file. So, and it was hard for me to care.
Okay, so your second dislike is you just didn't care about the characters, the movie. Okay,
yeah.
Okay. That's a good way to put this. Let me note that down.
I don't care about this movie. No, it's the characters. It's just not my thing.
No, I get that. Let's see. Drew, were the characters something you didn't care about, or something else that made your dislike list?
No, my second dislike. And I didn't put this as Tragic Maker simply because I understand, this is just a me thing. But every other time I've ever watched this film, it's been the edited for TV version, which means it was not rated R in that version. It was cleaned up a lot, and most of the jokes I think still work even in that version. So yeah, I hate all the things that made this movie rated R.
I'm tired of these monkey fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane.
I'm just saying the TV version I think was just as funny without the nasty.
Gotcha.
That's really what I'm getting at. So I just don't like all the nasty jokes in this.
Okay.
That's fair.
And the language.
Yeah, I just remember F words. I don't really remember nasty jokes, but maybe I'm desensitized.
There was the part there, Frank Oz, when he pulls out.
Oh, yeah.
That part, yeah.
But there's there's really not any others. But like I said, this movie worked so well, even with the in the TV version where you didn't have all the cuss words, or the cuss words were censored somewhat. So yeah, watching this uncut version for the first time, I might add, I was just taken aback by how many curse words they are and how little they actually affected the film.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. But I guess that's a me thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's unrealistic that they would have kept some of the stuff before they gave it all back to Jake at the beginning of the movie. That one thing in particular should have gotten thrown out. We'll just
absolutely.
I'm surprised Jake kept it.
Right. One thing that I just want to comment. Who Will Save Generation X podcast says, so Paul does not care about dudes trying to save an orphanage. So PaulJPowers.com hates orphans. Got it. Yeah, that's exactly. See, you know these things. No, actually, he like hates movie Annie, orphans. Okay? Movie orphans.
I like Annie. We should review that movie. That's a musical.
All right, that's fair. Bobo, let's go to something you didn't like, though. Oh, something else you didn't like about this film.
It came up earlier, and it's kind of a dumb one, but for all of the stuff that's not believable in this movie that I can kind of give a pass to, including the big band stuff with Cab Calloway, like, yeah, where does that come from and go to? Whatever. I can kind of let that go.
Sure.
I don't know why, but it does bug me toward the end with the car chase with the Illinois Nazis, where they come to a sudden stop. By the way, Hone Bridge in Milwaukee. Thanks, by the way, city of Milwaukee. And then they go into reverse, and the car flips backwards over and somehow turns in midair. Yeah. So they're going the correct way when they land. And that one bothers me for some reason.
No,
of all the unbelievable things, that bothers me.
By the time I get there and the car falling shortly after, I'm like, okay, now I get what kind of movie this is.
See, I'm on the opposite.
By that point, it's like, okay, yeah, this is a ridiculous film. Let's just enjoy the ride.
So, the car falling is a little ridiculous too. That's.
I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum for you guys. I was just like, what are we doing? Why are we ramping up this ridiculousness? Because I was trying to, like, I guess for you, Paul, I was trying to take this seriously. Even at the beginning when it jumps this bridge, I actually looked up a YouTube. Okay, is this possible? Because it doesn't look like it is. And the guy that broke it down,
it is possible if it's lower. And
here's the thing: the way they actually shot it when it's going up, when you see just the bridge wide angle, that's too clear. That's too big. But the angle that they're actually crossing it at, that is doable with the acceleration and all that. So they should have cut it a bit better. But I think they just want to show more extreme. But regardless, it just gets more and more ridiculous. These cars falling from apparently a plane, and then all these army people that are just like storming this one building. It just was so too much ridiculousness. Tell me I don't like fun. I don't care. It is just too much. So that's my second.
No, it's not that you don't like fun. You just don't like chaos.
and I didn't.
I like chaos in its place.
Oh,
this was its place.
In the archives of the ship. I get it. Okay. You want me in my place?
I watched the behind the scenes afterwards, and apparently that Dan Aykroyd wanted the car to be like a magic car, like it could do the flips and everything. So
I don't believe that.
Well, then you need to give us some reason to know it's that.
Yeah, so that's where his
ironically that ramp at the beginning I think was supposed to tell you that.
It didn't.
Nope. Especially since I've seen movies afterwards and TV shows afterwards that do that kind of thing. Oh, I'm repeating myself. Anyway, go ahead.
Well,
Don't worry, I'll repeat you later on.
Let's get into our Tragic Makers, guys, where maybe we will hit some repetition. I'm going to go ahead and go first because I'm repeating a lot of you guys. And that's pretty much just like, and it may be because I did watch the extended cut, but this movie could have chopped an hour of it off of it, and it would have been so much more fun and punchy and interesting. I just hate that there was so much bloat on this film. You have the mall chase. As fun as it went on way too long. You have Dan Aykroyd's love story, which goes nowhere. There's no reason to have that. Cut that stuff off. You have the restaurant, which goes too long. I love that they get the initial band. They get a bunch of the characters right away. But then it's this quest to find one band member after another, and it just is so inane. It just wrap all that all up in one go or two goes.
They did. The movie was going to be like 3 times as long because each going after each band member was going to be like the length of a movie.
Then they needed more reduction because that was too much. Then they have, like I said, all the ridiculousness of cars falling and flipping, and the end scene was just went on and on and on and on and on and on. Just end it. End it. It's okay. It's okay. You can have a much more slim movie, and it'll be much better for it. So that's my Tragic Maker. Let's go to Bobo next. Why am I wrong, or what did you hate most?
I don't think we have time to get into why you're wrong.
Oh, okay. Why am I right? We can go into why I'm right. That's fine too.
That'll be much shorter. No,
you're not right. You're Roy.
My
name ain't Roy.
I actually, as I've been agreeing that there were some scenes that just they could cut down, and I was actually trying to think like, how do you cut this down from 220 or whatever down to like an
hour and a half,
45?
I will do it. I can show you.
And I'm like, okay, maybe if you had an edit where you take out this musical number of that music, and then like I can't do it with any of that, but there's definitely stuff that could be tightened up. I will say toward the end though, when they get in the building and they're going up the elevator, I did start to feel like this is another scene that's kind of going on too long.
Mm-hmm.
But then it kind of turned the corner for me into becoming kind of funny. Like this is like playing Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah,
where you don't have 5 or 6 stars, you've got like 20 stars to build up here.
Yeah,
and it became kind of a joke.
Yeah,
just how long and how insanely massive it was getting. And it was like I could get that, but I don't feel like a lot of other scenes have that kind of a payoff.
Yeah.
So my Tragic Maker, I hate to say it, but it is the length of the movie because as much as I like this movie, I don't watch it that often because of the length.
Oh.
And I love it when I watch it, but it's just something,
it's
not
a commitment.
That hour and a half. Yeah, exactly. It's a commitment. Not unlike a movie, The Commitments, that I almost chose for today, but I didn't.
Oh.
So in favor of The Blues Brothers. We can do that one next time, Francisco.
Wow, great. I look forward to it.
That.
Paladin Pirate Gamer says, cut out the language and it'll take off 45 minutes. Yeah, I'm sure that much. I don't remember it being that much language, but sure, I'll take that. There's another.
There wasn't that much, but still.
But
I was counting for a while.
That's, I totally second your Tragic Maker there, Bobo. Drew, what's your Tragic Maker for the Blues Brothers?
Here's the thing. I've seen this movie. This is my only real knowledge of who the Blues Brothers were. I didn't watch Saturday Night Live from this era for a very good reason.
Yeah.
I was not born.
Wait, what?
I'm assuming this is from the original couple years.
Now I feel like you're just making excuses.
First 4 years, yeah.
So yeah, this is, I don't know who the Blues Brothers are. I'm watching this, if I was watching this movie not knowing who the Blues Brothers were, if for some reason I didn't know who Dan Aykroyd or John Belushi were, which honestly, some of the kids nowadays probably wouldn't know who these people are.
And, is that the guy from Ghostbusters Afterlife?
Yeah. And you tell me, we're going to go watch this movie, The Blues Brothers. Okay, so we're sitting down, and after we see 2 Universal Studios logos, that's another matter. And we then go to, like, the worst pollution footage that I think I have ever seen. It's like, for a couple of minutes watching the beginning, is this secretly like a ecological movie that we're going to talk about how bad the pollution is? And then
I didn't get that either. Why were they owning that?
They were showing so much smog around these factories that I didn't understand why it was there. And then
that's
we
the
get
80s and the 70s.
Beauty of Chicago.
Yeah.
And then we go, it's not selling me on Chicago. The Board of Tourism's doing an awful job if that was the point. And then you go to this long shot of them walking John Belushi through the prison.
At least it wasn't white text on black background.
And then you get a couple bits of dialogue that kind of tell you this is a comedy, but really don't. And then you get this other long shot of them of him walking out to see Elwood after Elwood had driven up. And then finally you see titles and you go, okay. And then another 5 minutes of them driving down. You realize it's 8 minutes until you get to that car ramp. And even like Paul said, that doesn't tell you it's a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And then I don't even know what point I realized what type of comedy it was, because I knew it was a comedy because I've seen the movie before.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if I ever saw the very beginning of this movie before. And it just took so long until finally it got to a point where it's like, oh, this is an over-the-top ridiculous comedy that should be played by the Looney Tunes.
Or the Muppets.
Or the Muppets. Either one. It took at least 15 to 20 minutes of this 2-hour and 13-minute movie that I watched.
Mm-hmm.
It should not take this long for you to tell me that this is supposed to be comedy, or what kind of comedy it is. You look back at Napoleon Dynamite last week, I knew within 5 minutes that this was an awkward comedy. And I would buy into...
Hold on. Napoleon Dynamite was a comedy? I think you're mistaken.
I personally could buy into the comedy a lot faster. If Francisco doesn't like this film because it's not funny enough to him, I understand, because it took 15 minutes to get to the first real joke.
It took longer than that for me, but okay.
I'm estimating, because I don't even know what I would call the first real joke of this film.
Yeah.
I just know it took until Carrie Fisher blew up their apartment that I go, oh, it's ridiculous. That's why she was able to pull out a bazooka, because that's something that everyone can get a hold of.
Yep.
Okay, I guess it was before that, because that's the car chase through the mall. But still.
Yeah, that's before.
Not funny. That's cool.
Yeah, it took so long to get to a real joke that you didn't have to be from that era. If I could see maybe if that long bit was a lead up to a joke, which I don't think it is. But if you for some reason don't know who John Belushi or Dan Aykroyd are, you don't know the Blues Brothers was a skit from Saturday Night Live, how on earth do you know what this movie is until 15 minutes into it? By then, you're looking at your cell phone because you're bored. Because it takes that long for something to happen.
I feel that way about the current SNL movies.
That's my problem, is that this movie does not tell you what it is in the first 15 minutes. I don't know of what I'm supposed to take it.
Well, I totally can back that assessment, Drew, and I'm very curious if I'm going to be able to back Paul's assessment. What's his Tragic Maker for the Blues Brothers?
So this one is kind of personal, and if you don't agree with me, I can understand. I know a lot of people have a great affection for this movie, so they probably won't agree with me. But for me, the worst thing about this movie is that they pretty much made a mockery of the church, specifically Christianity. So, like the church stuff, it's a little over the top, so much over the top that it crosses into parody.
You don't have your trampolines in your church that disappear when you're filming the ground? Oh.
And yeah, my nuns don't like float as they go between doors and doors automatically open, but it's so much of a parody that it feels like it's making fun of it. Rather than having fun with it, they're actually making fun of it. Like so much that they're not taking it seriously enough. And so like when they say they're on a mission from God, you don't know that. God didn't speak to them. Now I know the nun said that, the nun said she didn't want to go to Africa and all these other places. The nun is saying, look, I don't want to be a missionary, but maybe that's what God wants for her, is to become that. And she's running away like Jonah. And then these people are trying to help her but basically they're trying to use their own interest, I feel, which is just, it's not necessarily God's interest. It's taking it way too lightly for me.
So what do you think the light beam on Jake was? Do you think that was just a light shining through and but taking the Lord's name in vain in church like that is not funny to me. It's not in church too. I know I could be a prude and this is my prudish area, but for me it's a complete turnoff. Okay. No, that's fair.
Quote Fozzie Bear, they don't look like Presbyterians to me.
I guess I'd say that it seemed like there was a spiritual element, like a calling.
There's definitely a spiritual element.
Well, hold on, calling put on Jake because of that. I mean, I think that was as much as I could not tell this was a comedy, it was very clear to me that there was an actual spiritual thing happening with Jake, given the glowing the dead Jedi effect on him.
As he is swearing and taking the name of the Lord in vain at that moment, which is a total 180 against of what it should be going on, that to me tells me they're not taking it seriously. And
Paul, let me ask you this. Was Samson able to slay a bunch of people even when he was an adulterer and drinking and all? I don't know if he was drinking, but I know, he might have been.
He was drinking.
Yeah. Even though he is going against his vows and all that, was he still able to take out the Philistines pre-Delilah cutting off his hair?
That doesn't make it right.
I'm not saying it makes it right, but does that mean he was still able to do those things and he still had God's spirit on him?
Are you really quoting a time during Israel's darkest days?
Yeah, I am. Because it's making my point for me.
It's one of their lighter days, comparatively.
It's
during the days of Judges, that was a lot better. Never mind, we won't get into.
I'll say, considering Judges, how depressing Judges is.
I'm not saying it can't be something. I'm not trying to say it can't be something that bothers you, Paul. That's totally fair, and I totally can and back you in that. I'm just pointing out that there's just because you have someone that's.
Look, we're talking about a 30-second scene in a movie.
That's way too long. I got it.
Not somebody's lifestyle.
I didn't realize we had moved on to spiritual speculation.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys didn't realize that? Oh, well, I'm sorry.
I thought we'd finish the review first.
Oh, fine.
That's going to be a long one tonight.
Well, in that case, let's get to it. Now that we've all entered our trajectories into the firing computer, Alice, you have a firing solution for us.
Firing solution complete. Rating salvo armed and ready to fire on your mark.
Paladin
what
says,
happened to the salvo authority that you love so much for 300 episodes?
It was never salvo authority. It was salvo at the ready.
I think that's how the Blues Brothers pulled it off. Salvo authority.
All right.
That was in an edited scene.
All right. Do we rate the Blues Brothers?
Oh, yeah. That's what we're talking about.
A classic. We'd recommend anyone go see this, whether or not they've seen it before. A nostalgic. It's only worth seeing if you have seen it again, if you have seen it before as a kid or young adult. But if you've never seen it before, pass this one by. Or do we rate it a tragic? It's not worth anyone's time today. If you've never seen it before, definitely keep it that way. And if you have seen it before, don't sell any good memories you have of it with a rewatch. Let's begin with our guests. Bobo, you had predicted classic. what was your final reign for the Blues Brothers?
This comes into one of my 6 favorite movies of all time.
Oh, wow. Really? Okay.
And as a result, you would probably expect that I'm going to say classic.
Tragic. Got it. All right.
I will tell you that there's probably 2 movies in that top 6 that I actually would not rate classic on this show. But this one actually is one of the ones I would call classic.
Gave me hope.
Gotcha.
There's so much I want to talk about between what Paul was saying and what Drew was saying there. But ultimately, I still think the big thing is if you get into the music, that probably is the main thing that's going to be the driving force for you. If you're not into the music, I can kind of get it. If you don't get sort of the dry nature of Jake and Elwood as characters, I can see where it's not going to be your thing. But I think it's, at the very least, it's worth a watch. And the music is eternal.
All right. Very good. You could also just buy the soundtrack and listen to that without watching the movie. But Drew, what is your...
I'm tempted to buy the soundtrack anyway.
So classic for Bobo? Drew, you had predicted nostalgic. What was your final reign?
So when I wrote up my memories for this, I think I confused it with another movie that is actually in my top 5.
Oh, wow.
Ferris Bueller.
You confused this with Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Because it takes place in Chicago.
Yeah, I get that, but
it occupied a weird spot in my mind, so forgive me.
All right, that's fine.
But I also realized about halfway through the film, I had already passed what was supposed to be my last memory of the film, and there was still an hour left of the movie. So apparently, and that was the thing. I watched the rest. I was like, oh yeah, I remember this part. Why didn't I remember this when I had to send this to Paul? But
that's funny.
All of that considered, I think I'm still going to keep it nostalgic because it was a fun film. But if I had the ability to find it, if people would actually release this version, I'd rather watch the cut for TV because I honestly think it was a much more enjoyable film for myself. And that one I might even call a classic, but the uncut version that everyone's going to watch, I'll go nostalgic.
All right, nostalgic. Let's see. So now we've gone Bobo and Drew's reign. Now we like to go to our reflex capacitors, the people that make this time travel through the movie space-time continuum possible. And we ask you guys to vote on the movies we cover if you've seen them in the last couple of years. And those of you that vote, all voted classic for the Blues Brothers. So another classic for it. I feel like it still could go either way though. Paul, you had predicted tragic. Where did this movie end up for you?
Gee, I wonder.
I wonder.
Your guesses are right. In that, even for me, I didn't enjoy it. So I would not recommend it. So it's tragic for me. But I watched this with my wife, who, by the way, usually hates comedies. And she enjoyed it. And throughout, she watched it with me. And she kept looking at me like, what's wrong with you? You are so not in the mood for this movie. And she's 100% correct. I was not.
Yeah.
So, but but I gotta go with how I felt, and that was tragic. Unfortunately.
All right.
But like was said earlier, it's gonna hit for some, but not for others.
Yeah. All right. So we have 2 classics, a nostalgic, a tragic. I don't know what this is gonna end up being. Jeez. So for me, I had predicted tragic. And after watching it, I feel like there was enough enjoyableness in it, especially for someone that maybe grew up watching this and liked it, that I'm going to rate it nostalgic. It was less than the sum of its parts, but the parts that there were there, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I could see this. I still feel like if this movie was an hour shorter, I could very easily see it be a classic. As it is, it's a hair's thin away from tragic, but I am I am leaning toward nostalgic with the Blues Brothers. I feel like it has enough going for it, just enough, that I'm going to rate it that. So I don't know what this does. We have 2 classics, 2 nostalgics, and a tragic. I think, well, here's what I'm going to do. A tragic and a classic become a nostalgic. So that's 3 nostalgics. So according to the Retro Rewind podcast, we rate The Blues Brothers a very disputed nostalgic film. If you've seen it before, you probably would be good to watch it again. But if you've never seen it before, pass it on by. Go watch. Paul, what would you recommend? You're the lone tragic. What would you recommend instead?
Definitely.
Of a Dan Aykroyd or John Belushi movie. Let's go with that.
No. I'll do you one better.
Oh, okay.
A movie that was directed by John Landis, starring SNL cast members. I would 100% recommend Three Amigos.
Oh, okay.
That's a great film.
Yeah, that is good. All right. Or if you really want Dan Aykroyd, I guess you could do Trading Spaces. I've never seen that.
Or Ghostbusters.
Or that was Ivan Reitman.
No, but it's Dan Aykroyd movie.
Oh yeah. Okay, good point. Or Great Outdoors. I liked seeing John Candy in this. That was fun.
I forgot John Candy was in this.
More John Candy, please. I like him.
I think the last time I watched Blues Brothers prior to this watching was before I started paying attention to John Candy.
How dare you, Bobo, with your fuzzy math hashtag. I do my best here. But according to the Retro Rewind podcast, we rate, again, we rate The Blues Brothers a disputed nostalgic film. But now it's time to get back to our own time. Good old 20XX.
Calm sat online, awaiting incoming transmissions.
20XX. I know, Paul. Always with the 20XX.
20XX?
You just have me. I expect it now. Though I guess you expect Salvo Authority. So I guess we can't always get what we want.
You can't always get what you want.
What do you mean, do not touch me, D. Tungsten? Okay. Feels good to be back. But we wouldn't have been able to travel back to 1980 to begin with if it weren't for our amazing reflux capacitors, namely Deborah Powers, Geek Devotions, Drew of the Cellcast. Oh, you're right here. Hey. Ashley Ruiz, Kenneth, and Fabulous Lomax. That's our Bob. But you're here too.
Hey.
D. Tungsten, Mr. Lost, Daryl Hafner, Cool Deluxe, Dustin, He's a Big Deal, Warford, Flux, Redeemed Otaku, in addition to 2 other awesome patrons as well. Thank you all so much for keeping the Jigwats coming. And if you want to help keep us flying, and get bonus content for your generosity, head over to retrorewindpodcast.com/support to start.
This stream is sponsored by BulgingPowers.com.
Say, Francisco.
Yes, Paul.
All those people that are supporting us, we're really grateful.
Yes.
For the financial support. But if you can't support financially, is there some way that people can't support us?
Actually, yeah, Paul. So you listening probably enjoy this episode if you made it this far. So if you aren't driving, tap the share icon in your podcast player for this episode and send it to a friend saying, I know you like the Blues Brothers, so I thought you would like this podcast where they review it.
Cool. And I'll bet they'll thank you for it.
They will. Count on it.
Wow.
Count on it.
Exactly. Thank you, Claw.
All right. And speaking of weird voices, we want to thank the people that joined us today. Want to give you a big Blues Brother hug for sharing your thoughts and support on the Blues Brothers, not the Blue Brothers.
Blue Man Group. Okay, that's a different movie.
Blues Clues. So since we like to go alphabetically, we'll start again with Bobo. How can people find you online if you want to be found?
Hopefully they can't find me. And I know, between this and Electric Dreams, I think we're watching Eraserhead next time I pick a movie.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, no.
Now, tell us, is that a comedy or is that a horror movie?
I legitimately don't know.
All right, fair.
And Drew, how can people find you online? Is there anything cool you got going on that people should know about?
You can find me at the Cellcast, where we review animated movies and television shows. We're in the middle of the Heron hiatus now because my co-host decided to get married.
Why'd you go and do that?
I have no idea. Makes my life confused because in the podcast life, I now have 2 wives named Ashley to keep up with.
I would think that would make it more simple.
Just everyone marry Ashley. Then I can just refer to one person.
But no, so yeah, we are releasing a bunch of episodes right now that I recorded ahead of time with a bunch of friends.
Mm-hmm.
Paul and Francisco were on an earlier one. Then I did another one we did another one with Nate of Monster on Film Vault talking about Proto Godzilla. And I just released one from Andy and Kirk where we talked about Pixar shorts. Who knows what's coming next? So
and
go listen to those episodes.
And guys, we need you to go and listen to me and Paul's episode because Drew promised us a trophy if we get the most downloads of all the Heron Hiatus. So you need to go and listen to the Chrono Trigger and text everyone because it's so good.
My name ain't Roy.
Roy, I have to tell you this.
Uh-oh.
I did not promise you a trophy.
Oh, I remember a trophy. I guess maybe I misheard.
What kind of trophy?
B, right now, y'all is actually still in the lead.
Yes! Trophy, here we come. But we need you rewinders to go and make that happen. By the time Jacob gets back.
Or here's just a wild idea. Go listen to all our episodes. They're all good. Especially one called Fire and Ice.
Yes, that is also excellent. But we want the trophy.
Get a hero one, too.
You can skip the don't follow that bird.
What about that darn cat that returned, Paul?
Yeah, that's fine. That's good.
Anyway, so go check out the Cellcast, guys. Thank you so much, David. David. Thank you so much, Bobo.
You're welcome.
Getting confused here. Yeah. And thank you so much, Drew. We also want to thank Alutrick for enhancing our music. Find him at alutrick.bandcamp.com or youtube.com/@Alutrick. That's spelled ALLOOUTRICK, then the number 8266 for the YouTube. So thank you so much to him. And
Wait. Where did that come from? Were you in like an airlock or something? Because you sounded totally different.
I closed the door. It's a double pane glass.
Oh.
That's how there's no way that person down there heard this guy die inside. Oh.
Okay, Ace. You won me over.
All right, good.
Jim Carrey or not.
Wow. Thanks for that. Breaking the illusion of all the people who haven't seen me. They may envision me with great locks of hair. Now you've ruined it for them, Drew. Thanks a lot.
You did that yourself. I didn't say anything about it.
You alluded to it.
I was referring to your comedic delivery. But anyway.
He sure looks funny.
But thank you all, including Paul, my awesome blues brother, and all you rewinders new and old for another fun voyage.
Thank you. You can find me. I'm pauljpowers.com, and you can find me at pauljpowers.com.
And you can find me on our Discord for show announcements or just to say hi. Join us there at retrorewindpodcast.com/Discord and check out the board game I'm currently designing, getting closer and closer to being hopefully done with it and going to crowdfund it hopefully soon. But check all that out at junkyardjuggernauts.com.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box, a curated collection of podcasts, videos, and articles that will provide you a balanced meal of content. You will find culture celebrated for its past and future, satirized for its extremes, explored in study, and created anew in story. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
As that other member from the band just said, we are now part of Culture Box Media Network. Find the band and their shows unpacking truth through story, comedy, and geekery at the band. At culturebox.media.
Wow. Thank you, EXO.
Bandcamp.com.
Thank you, EXO, and thank you for listening. We pray you are more joyful today than when you first hit play. But like a Pokemon, we gotta catch you all for Oh, brother, where art thou? Our next adventure.
Man, we're in a tight spot.
On the Retro Rewind podcast.
Retro Rewind mission complete. Proceed to base to await next mission.
Get out, and don't come back until you've redeemed yourselves.